I've come to the conclusion after 20 years in tech that hiring is kind of a bit broken. I've been through a lot of hiring processes before, and we all hire the same way. I've started doing something different as a senior engineer and now a team lead. I hire junior engineers instead, junior and mid-career, early career engineers, instead of hiring just senior engineers. If you look around this room, you're going to realize that we're mostly senior engineers, we're mostly in middle age, and in agriculture, we would call this a monoculture. And monocultures are bad because you have to keep putting toxic chemicals on the ground in order to get the monoculture to produce something that's worth it. So I personally feel like this is kind of a shitty situation that we've gotten into where we keep creating toxic teams and toxic environments just to keep ourselves producing. Interviews have become this high bar that everybody has to impress somebody else. They've become a rite of passage. So I started doing something different. With younger engineers, you can't treat an interview like a big trial. Nobody asks me what I actually do in my job. Nobody asks me to sling YAML during an interview. So we are, just because you have had to write a linked list in C during an interview, it doesn't mean that you need to impose that on every candidate. So really good teams are T-shaped. They're broad in some places and they're deep in some places. But if you show me the team that's just made of senior engineers, I guarantee you that's not team-shaped. We need to start leveling people by what you're actually doing on a day-to-day basis. Senior engineers, if you're teaching, that's what you should be doing. If you aren't teaching, or if you don't have anybody on your team that's a junior engineer, that's a mid-level engineer, who the hell are you actually teaching? So junior engineers have this great superpower too. They don't actually have 20 years of scar tissue built up, and so they actually move faster in a lot of cases. It's wonderful to work with people who don't know what they can't do. The biggest thing that I have heard from other managers and other team leads is that they're afraid that they're going to have to babysit a junior engineer. This really isn't true. If you're already breaking down your projects into 1 or 3 point stories, that's exactly what you need to do to get junior engineers to be productive. And people who are junior engineers who are getting their big break, they're incredibly motivated. They're getting to do what they've always wanted to do. They're getting to do kind of work their dream job. I think that lazy hiring is part of what's gotten us here. It's easy to say, hey, I want to go out and hire a rock star, and then just put the interview bar just so high that nobody can get over it. If you lower that bar, then you're actually going to create more of a storytelling interview. You're going to have people tell you what they're working on, what they like, what they hate, and ideally, you're going to make them comfortable enough that they can start to complain to you. Because this is when you really actually learn something that about the people that you're interviewing. I can talk trash about Terraform for about 30, 40 minutes easily, just off the cuff. So ideally, you're going to get a much better idea of how somebody is to work with. But you want to make sure that the candidate is complaining about the tools and the processes and the environments that they're in, and they're not complaining about other people and other teams. With less experienced engineers, what you can filter on is arrogance. And so if you're interviewing somebody and they're very arrogant about work, that's an immediate down check. But early career engineers are allowed to lack experience. What you're looking for is evidence of growth and evidence that they can learn quickly. And the faster somebody can grow and learn, the more successful they're going to be in any type of job in our industry. The other thing is talk about salary early in the process, because this is your way to set expectations about who you're looking for and what your expectation of them is going to be. If you don't know what the standard pay is, go to a pay talk session. I'm actually going to be running one in open spaces later. So as senior engineers or leaders, you have power to change this environment. And I think that you should use it to hire earlier career engineers.